Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Matthew, and today we're doing another figure review, well, series of figures. Today I thought it'd be a pretty fun idea to go back a little bit in time to about 2019, 2020, to when the first batch of Playmates, Godzilla, and King Kong action figures, well, not King Kong, but just Monster vs. Toho style Godzilla stuff, was rolling around. This was basically Playmates' first attack at the modern Godzilla and Kong license, and as you can see, we have some figures. From left to right, we have Shin Godzilla, the original, Space Godzilla, Destroyer, Kong Skull Island, the 6-inch version, Gigan 2004, the large scale 11-inch Kong, and the large scale 11-inch Godzilla 2004. All of these were the Wave 1 Godzilla Kong figures from Playmates. And also, if you're wondering why the other Godzilla ones aren't here, the Bandai re-releases, those are technically of Bandai. Well, they are of Bandai. And they were only released here just to fill in some gaps for Walmart because they were still under the contract at the time. So, these were their figures, and like specifically theirs, not just stealing the mold, but or well, stealing. All of these guys were produced by them. So let's go ahead and go one by one through the various figures that were released during Wave 1. So first, we're going to go over the Lone Wolf. What I mean by Lone Wolf is the Kong is kind of the only one of its kind. It's the only Kong they've made in the line as far as Toho series is concerned, and it's not directly even from Toho, it's from Legendary and WB. But with that being said, this is the 6-inch Kong Skull Island figure. I'm going to be a bit more brief than usual because I just did a video about this guy like not that long ago, so re-angling my camera here. So let's go ahead and get started. So, what do we got? The head is molded pretty well. Looks exactly like the film with like the kind of human, definitely mammal-like shaped head, and has a very gray spray across the entirety of the face to give it a bit more of that kind of color and detail. The eyes are painted alright. This eye is kind of off to one side a little bit. This eye is a bit more off to the other. And mine's got a tiny little paint nick. It's kind of hard to see. So you can kind of see it here. It's like on the tip of my fingernail. It's like right there. But the facial expression is kind of blank. Kong's just in a kind of a neutral position, kind of a neutral stance. Him kind of smirking a little bit like, interesting. And the overall mold, again, it's kind of really good because he's actually got sculpted in nostrils. I know that's kind of a weird thing to point out, but the nostrils and the ears are probably the most well sculpted thing on a Playmates figure I've seen in a very, very long time, if not ever. Because, like, that actually kind of goes in like a nostril. Honestly, if this guy had internal organs, I would not be surprised. But going on down to the shoulders, well, more like the chest, we have some like the orange, the kind of like darker shading here towards the breast, and then we can kind of go up here to where I think that's just the shadow. No, that's not the shadow. There's like actually some more highlights there, and it has more like that gray spray. So they definitely added some like black highlights here, like this kind of cut here. And then they kind of sprayed the rest in with like gray. And of course we have like the slashes that are not sculpted in, but they are painted pretty good. Like that's actually kind of really good as far as like the paint application is concerned. Mine's got like a black, like a bit of black schmutz all over it. I don't know where that's from. That could just be like from when they were spraying in the factory, and then maybe like some little bit of stuff got onto the chest, but that's all right. Got a little nice 6 or maybe that's an 8 pack. Sides of the arms, they look pretty well done. They're very fuzzy, which I do like, because like Kong is a furry little boy. Furry little, as in like, I don't know, 30 meters tall, over 100 feet. But you got some like that nice crisp detail, the fur, then going down to the hands where there's obviously a cut, which I think the base figure was the Leonard figure. I could be wrong about that. that, or it was originally a giant, but then this guy has like, I don't know, the wrist cut kind of gives the impression that this was the Leonard. But as you can kind of see, the hand is kind of sprayed in like a very jet black type color, which I'm not gonna like say it's the wrong color because it's been a little bit since I last seen Kong Skull Island. But at the same time, I think I would have liked to see like a little bit of a lighter color. This hand's got the clenched fist and boom, boom, boom. So as you can kind of see, he's kind of like rock, paper, scissors. So maybe he's challenging Godzilla to a rock, paper, scissors game. So who knows? Maybe that's someone's AU. Going on down to the legs, the details are definitely a bit more mellow, and as well as on the back, it's actually not that mellow. It's actually quite detailed. Again, it's all hard plastic, which is a bit of a bummer to some, but for me, it's not really. It's got all the fancy detail, very thick monkey booty, like very, very thick. But as you can see, the details are a bit more on the more mellow side when it comes to like the leg pieces. They're not too detailed. They're a bit on the more soft side. And as you can see for the feet, they have quite some detail here for the feet, like little toes and such. 5 toes in all. But they are sprayed in like that kind of jet black spray, as you can see. So again, not much in the way of paint variety, but it definitely gets the job done. Next up is articulation. For articulation, we have a hinge here at the head. Yes, it's a hinge, not a ball joint. I popped the head off once. So you can go up about that far, down about that far. Let me just redo it for you. And you can go side to side. Pretty much a full 360 with the head, which is good. Shoulders can pretty much go all the way around. Do be careful of the fact that it grinds up. Even though there is a seam line there in the sculpt, there's not actually any articulation there. The legs can actually kick up, but they stop right here. And they can go back a little bit, but they get stopped right here. And we have feet swivels. So Kong is able to kind of get some mild feet movement, which is nice to see. So nothing in the way of like, oh, this is awful posability. It's actually got some merit to it. And even though its head articulation is probably the best one of like any of the classic Toho series figures, it's still very well done. And honestly, I've seen way worse. So overall, Kong himself, the 6-inch variety, not too bad. Also just worth noting is that there's a reissue, because I covered that in my also latest video about this guy. I can actually grab him off the shelf. So just kind of, again, I'm not directly comparing, but he literally has basically all the same attributes, articulation and sculpt-wise, but paint things, they changed it a little differently for this reissue. They brought in more darker kind of color to him, as far as like the base color is concerned, and they fixed up the build quality a little bit, which is also nice to see, because like every seam line on this guy is like starting to split apart. But not on this guy. At least not on my copy. So that's good to see. What's also really good to see is the paint difference as well, which in itself is kind of a lighter gray. And I think I would have liked to see this gray on that brown, if that makes any sense. Like, that would have been the picture perfect one, which I think that's actually what the Ferocious Kong did for the Monsterverse line. So, essentially speaking, nothing has changed from this. Mine's got a bit more wonky of an eye placement. But again, all is good with this one.